you doing?
I'm blessed.
Amen. So here we are doing another episode.
Yes.
Don't call it a podcast. I think as a partner, as a wife, as a friend, as a business partner, as someone who watches you every day, as you grow from strength to strength in every field of your life, you know, as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a faithful believer, as a businessman, as an entertainer. I think one of the biggest challenges that I've seen both of us go through is the challenge of waiting, which people don't really think about usually. They don't really put it into consideration that there's a waiting process and period in time.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through that process for you?
Well, there's two different careers, right? So the waiting in acting is very different from the waiting in music. And as an actor, you spend majority of your time in the waiting. Like that's the thing. You shoot something and then a hiatus. Even if you're working, you shoot something, hiatus. Shoot something, hiatus, right? But at the same time, when you're not working, that's where your faith is tested. That's where your determination is tested. That's where you really learn about who you are as a creative. And it's overlooked. I don't think we talk about the mental stress that you go through dealing with waiting and not being in control of things. You can control an audition, what you do, but then it's 6 different hands that touch your audition to give an opinion.
Right.
The casting director, the producer, the director, the videographer, the network, there's 6, 7 different channels that are out of your hand that you're waiting for. And you might make it to level 5, but level 6 might have a different idea for who they want. And I tell everyone, man, and this is even biblical, like what you do in the waiting and the stillness is what will determine your longevity. Because it's easy to give up. It's easy to just be like, oh man, I haven't worked for 2 years, I haven't this and this. You know, I've been in a situation, you know, luckily we have a music career that pays the bills, that gives us access in things we want and trips and anything materialistic. Our kids are set up, you know, luckily we have that other side of things. But as an actor, man, like I personally haven't worked, you know, consistently in 5 years.
Right. And in that 5-year period, you are auditioning over and over again. I can say that in the time, like in our marriage, in our relationship, we've auditioned for almost easily 100 roles. And we've got 3. Right? So what does that do to you mentally? What's the conversation with self?
Well, first is it's the gratitude in knowing that you have 100 opportunities. You know, we overlook that and focus on the 97 no's rather than, like, to be an actor is no different from really being an athlete or anything, because you're part of that 1% who actually land those few roles on TV. There's not a lot.
You're a black actor.
And you're a black actor, male, a certain demographic, certain age, so you're chop. So you're 0.00001 of the world that land on 25 to 30 network shows, the network channels. You know, and so you're a part of that 1%. So to get even 3 is unbelievable. You know, and so when you start looking at it from that perspective, then you're much more kinder to yourself. But it took a while to get there, because especially when you're used to winning. Like I'm used to winning. I've been popping. I've been lit since I graduated college in terms of professional career. So as soon as out the gate, you're on fire. Everything is moving. And then all of a sudden it slows down. And you're like, what's wrong with me? Did I get whacked? Am I getting older? Is my time over? All these intrusive thoughts start happening, and you're just like, no, but that's all lies.
Yeah.
I've gotten better.
Right.
I've gotten seasoned.
Right.
I look better.
Right.
I got more money in the bank than I have.
Right.
So you have to combat those negative thoughts with the truth.
Right.
And then your faith is where you really gotta be like, God, help, and really understand that there's a reason for it. So for me, it was just the stillness. It can be very loud. The silence can be very, very loud. And then on top of that, you have a family to provide for.
Right.
So again, luckily, we have this other side of things, and our brand is what we can do with our brand. But if we're talking isolated acting, you know, it was difficult. It was very hard.
Yeah.
And to know that, how did this person, and for me in my case, I've come down to the last 2 or 3 for maybe 50 of them.
Right, and it's crazy because we end up watching these things when they're on the networks, and we know the
we
script,
know the role,
like,
we know the script, like they gave it to him,
right?
You know, and then you have to take that out your heart.
Yeah.
You know, of course, I'm very competitive.
Right.
You know this. So I'm like, yo, I'm better than that. I would have done this. I wouldn't done that. You're like, nah, but that person deserves what they got.
Yeah, it was their portion.
It was their portion. Like if we got that role, it would have been a whole different other turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Life would have been different. Like for me, exactly. Like, and I know there's so much. I know it. I don't know if you want to.
Please.
You know, like even for me with God's plan and my plan, right? 2019. I'm thinking that I'm down to the last. It's between me and Rashir Gray, I think that's his name. Who played Yaz. Who played Hakeem. His name is Yaz.
Yeah.
On Empire.
Right. So 2000.
This is 2000. Oh, sorry. 2000. Yeah, 2014.
Got it.
This is just an example of you don't know what's good for you.
Right.
And I was down to me and him. Signed contract. It was between him and I. He ended up getting it, and I thought the world was over, that I didn't get Empire.
Right. You felt devastated.
I felt devastated. I was like, yo, how God.
God, why did you not give me this? Am I not your favorite son?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong in this season?
Yeah.
And little do you know, it's like that meme we see of like the child holding the teddy bear.
Yeah.
And God's got a bigger teddy bear. And it's like, I know the plans I have for you.
I know the plans I have for you. And if I would have signed to Empire, it's Empire the TV show, there would have been no power, which ended up turning out way better for me. You know, great show. Empire did what it needed to do.
Right.
Made a lot of money.
Right.
But for me personally, I was where I needed to be.
Right. Because with that role came meeting 50,
which my record did.
Right.
Then did it, and the hottest show cult following forever.
Right.
You know, and so a lot of things. So you just gotta say it wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. It's not for me. Mm-hmm. It's this and this. So, and I needed to be stronger. When you're used to winning,
that's a word.
You know, I needed to learn how to be stronger.
Right.
You know, in
and
this
how
time.
else to learn, but in the time where you are getting the no's, that you have so been used to getting yeses, and like in that time where you have to really take a chill pill and humble yourself in the waiting.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is even, like you said, it's even biblical, because if you look at the children of Israel, you know, the Israelites, they were in the waiting for 40 years.
Yeah.
Right? The promised land was there. So it doesn't mean that your portion has been taken away from you.
Right.
However, God knows what's best for you, but He doesn't want you to obliterate that which is best for you because of not being prepared.
Yeah.
Because of meeting your divine opportunity and not having being divinely equipped.
Yeah.
So I think learning that has sharpened you.
Yeah, it's sharpened me as a man, it's sharpened me spiritually. I needed to sit down. I needed to sit down because my life was so fast for 10 years.
Yeah.
I didn't know who Rotimi was. I didn't know adversity. I didn't know what you're supposed to do when you're not making 6 figures every week. Yeah. What does that feel like? How does that, because like at 21, I was thrown into a lot of money. Yeah. And so a lot of those things, and thank God for that, but I didn't know the other side of, okay, figure this out. When you go from every audition you land, when you do it, to getting everything, before, and people don't understand in my particular life, like I've auditioned 3 times before 2019.
You had only auditioned 3 times.
I've only auditioned from 2011 to 2019 3 times.
And
in my
every
life.
time was a yes.
And every time was a yes.
Yeah.
So for 10 years, I didn't know any different. I was blessed. But now in a situation, I'm still blessed. But now in a situation where you see the other side, okay, how much do you love acting? How much?
Right, it makes you question all these things.
Yeah.
Like, do I really love acting? Am I really that good an actor?
Yeah.
All of which are lies from the enemy.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that, because you mentioned mentally, and I think that's a big thing that we have to really understand, that half the work comes in really controlling that which you're thinking and giving life to in your thoughts.
Right.
The Bible tells us to capture every thought and make it obedient to the truth of Christ. But tell me about that for you, like the mental strain, the mental process. What practices have you put in play to really be like, okay, I'm going to, no, that's not true. Yeah.
I mean, you know, not to be cliche, but having an amazing partner, you know, genuinely, having you during that time, calms the spirit, especially when you have a woman of God. It's so powerful where you're, as a man, you know, we don't talk about it enough, but as a man, your confidence can be shaken. And you don't know where to run to because you make sure everybody else around you is okay. Yeah. And because you're that, and I've been that guy, you know, my life, I never really had anyone to really vet my true doubts, insecurities, and all these things or worries to. So when you have someone other than God to be there for you and to hold you down in that way and to remind you of who you are and remind you of what you are, you know, that is powerful. And that, like, okay, you're right, I'm tripping, you know, that does it. But in my own journey, relying on God, and then again, silencing intrusive thoughts and realizing that just it's a math. The more times you put yourself in the fire, one of them is bound to stick. Right. The more casting directors you get in front of, the more the relationships you build with writers, the more, you know, it sticks. Something is bound to stick if you are persistent and consistent. So I learned that I never worked that muscle, you know? And so now knowing the true understanding of that, I'm a better person and better artist and better, you know, act way back better than 2014, 19, you know, and before. But mentally taking that time to pray in the morning, to align yourself, that changes everything mentally, because you're able to put things in perspective and realize that, one, none of this really matters. Absolutely. It takes away the power of all of it.
Absolutely.
You know? And then it's like, okay. And then when I realized, like, man, let it be what it is. That's usually when the blessings happen, when you just let go. And that's the hardest thing, when you're a control. Yeah. You know, and that's different. But even with music, like, music is a different weighting. It's no, like, when you create the product, you create an amazing record, and you have to wait for, let's say, mixing, engineering, cool. You gotta wait for getting it cleared. You have to wait for video shoot, timing, date. You have to wait for promo, woo. You've created a record. I have records that's out right now, birthday, that just came out, that we did last year. And we had to wait for the right time to release it. And again, that's another thing of training your mind. Being able to say, okay, God's time is the best time, but let me keep working in the meantime. You know, and that was tough. But then also not having the support that you think you would have. You know, and then waiting for the public to say I like it or not like it. You gotta be strong and mentally strong for that too. You know, and it all comes down to having a strong team to help combat the no's, and then knowing yourself. Like, what do you like? What is healthy for you? Me personally, I've learned recently that I like creating a product, giving it to my team, and letting the chips fall where they may, and just consistently do the work. and let the work speak for itself. Not monitor anything, not stay on Instagram, not stay on this, you know. So
because we have the ability as creatives, right? And you know, I was like this too. I struggled deeply with creating a product and not seeing what I had imagined when it's when it's put out there. That reciprocity not matching up to what I imagined for myself. You know, that ate me up. And then, you know, that's a real test of that's really understanding how first of all, you need to humble yourself, first of all. Number two, what kind of pride do you have to not be grateful enough to have the ability to even put the music out? You know what I mean? Like all these things, you have to really check your mind. And this is also really good for up and coming talent to hear, because you're waiting before you're popular, but the waiting goes on to
while
the end
popular.
while you're popular.
Your whole career.
No, your whole career.
Yeah,
you're gonna have moments of waiting. You're gonna have moments of second guessing. You're gonna have moments of no's. You're gonna have moments of really capturing and honing into the skill. And constantly getting better, right?
Absolutely.
There's no point of no growth. The growth continues throughout your life. Really. Absolutely. And you know, you said something really powerful about, you know, as a man, and you know, people don't talk about this enough. You know, the honest truth, the truth of the matter is, if you have a good man, if you have a man who's providing for you, he is going in day after day and make sure that the kids are good, you're good, the family's good, the future's, you know, set up. And honestly, our brothers, our fathers, you know, the men of our society, good men, they need places where they can relax, where they can exhale, where they can say, you know what, actually, God, I need to come to you right now because my spirit's a bit broken, and I'm feeling we were having this conversation this morning that, you know, God can never decline a contrite spirit. You come to him and you're like, I know that if I surrender this to you, I am trusting 100% in the ability you have to do whatever it is with my life, with my family's life, with my children's life. And I think that's been a real game changer in our home when we have completely surrendered our mind, our body, everything to God, knowing that, you know, Holy Spirit, take over every situation that's troubling my heart, but also when it comes to my business, I'm putting it at your feet, Lord. You know, when it comes to my family, I'm putting them at your feet, Lord. And the tug that we sometimes get when we want to control things, as opposed to releasing them and surrendering them to, you know, to God, makes the difference. I think being your partner, watching that happen in our home has been such a thank you, God, because like you said, as soon as you release, the floodgates open.
Absolutely, and that's a testament. That's biblical. It's every time we say, all right, let's just do what we got. Let's just do it and see what happens. It's because you're surrendering. And
isn't that the biggest lesson in the test of faith? Then?
That's it. Yeah. Yes. And again, I needed that for someone like me, who has been, this is how it's gonna be. This is what's gonna happen. This is how I'm gonna have it. This is what I'm gonna do.
You low-key have the OCD you say I have.
No.
I do. God heal us, but
no, seriously. But I want to ask you, how is it being the woman with a man who's doing what I do, and you see everything from 0 to 100? Right. What, and also with your background of who you are, who you've been, and who you're becoming. What do you take away from it, and how has it been for you?
So this can be a very long-winded answer, but I'm gonna start from the beginning. Number one, I'm super grateful that you let me live and exist in my feminine energy, whereby, for lack of I'm giving it the urban term feminine energy, but in truth, it's just true submission. It's true understanding of the way a home should be, the way a marriage should be, with a Christ-centered marriage, a kingdom marriage. You know, with God at the top, husband, mom, wife, and you know, kids. So for me, watching you really submit to the Lord God Almighty, who is the head of our home, the head of everything, and seeing how that's transforming your life is inspiring to me. It's motivating to me. Not only do I strive to be the better helper in the home, but it also motivates me from my own personal artistic wants, like,
Mm.
you know, with whatever we're trying to do in terms of like, you know, we can't share
Yeah,
much,
yeah,
but
yeah.
artistically what we're trying to do for
Yeah.
me, myself, and then as a family, what we do content wise, and as
Yeah.
a family, what we do with in terms of service and what we are supposed to do
Right.
in terms of serving our community and
Right.
the message that we give
Yeah, we give up.
in everything that we do.
Mhm.
So number one, it's just like really like a true sense of gratitude
Yeah.
for you and for the importance of a man who really is led by God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just second to nothing. You know,
Mhm.
because all I have to do is watch you submit and everything falls into place, and that for me is a testament to God existing in our life, God
Amen.
existing in our marriage, God existing in our work, and it makes me feel much lighter, but also motivates me to seek Him on
Yeah.
on my own
Yeah.
more, and you know, it's super inspiring
Mm.
to say the least. But at the end of the day, always when I see you go as hard as you go, not from the human side,
Mhm.
it's like, how can I help? You know,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
can I assist? How can I make this home so peaceful for you?
Mm.
How can I make your travels peaceful for you? Because I know, babe, from being on the road as much as I had been,
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yes.
I know you hate it too.
Yes.
Not that we hate entertaining.
No, it's
we
just the
love it.
actual travel of being on the road all
Like,
the time.
to
is-
perform
yeah.
for 1 hour, you are going to travel for 12.
Yeah.
Some days when you're
Yeah.
going abroad, and you
Yeah.
know, but it's the beauty of like,
It's a
you know,
blessing.
it's a blessing.
Please
blessing,
understand, it's a
blessing.
blessing,
It is.
but it is
absolute
taxing
blessing,
on-
but it's
Taxing, physically taxing
Yeah,
on
you're
the
a
body.
human being.
Yeah.
It's super taxing. So just, you know, watching you do all of that every weekend and just being able to to pour into you when you're not,
Mhm.
and making our home a real sanctuary, that makes me happy.
And
that
then,
makes
and
me
then what
very
about, what's your take on the waiting? You know,
Oh,
from your perspective of the waiting,
Yeah.
how does that? Is it similar to what you had to do, the
Yeah.
waiting wise, or is it new to see that side of waiting?
Yeah.
And whoa, we gotta keep fighting. Like,
Yeah.
how's that been for you?
So the waiting for me in this season has, I'll say it's a grander scale type wait,
Yeah.
where the rewards are greater.
Yeah.
The rewards are much greater than the waiting I had in my own season, in my single season. So I'm not even gonna refer to that, because this is the waiting that is molding me as a person,
Mhm.
as a mother, as a wife.
Mhm.
So this waiting season, just watching us wait, because the waiting is for both of us. It's not
Yeah.
you waiting or me waiting, it's us waiting for anything, because you know, the fruits of your labor are the fruits of our home.
Mm.
But this waiting season, truly just watching everything unfold, I have to pinch myself so many times, because as soon as I see you do the thing that God is asking you to do and live in the obedience,
Yeah.
I see the floodgates open up. Like I have goosebumps talking about it right now, because so many times everything that we have asked for, because we always say, God, if it is your will,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If it is your will, God, let it be.
Let it be.
But you know, He has the ability to give us exceedingly more than we can ever
Even
imagine.
fathom, yeah.
Like, you know, our imagination is this small.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
for me, I see like God, your prayers come to fruition, our prayers coming to fruition,
Mhm.
God really working in your life, working in our life, and it has made me an even more faithful believer. That's why it's very important for any believer to share their testimonies,
Yeah.
because it's part of our service to show people that this is where we started,
Yes.
this is how we felt,
Yes.
this is what went wrong,
Yes.
and this was the outcome.
Absolutely.
You know?
And yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off of what you said, like the waiting is everything.
Everything.
And started from there to go to here, and in my case, it's been when you're playing a polarizing character like Dre.
Right.
Everything you do artistically in any other realm is a blessing, but it's 10 times harder for people to connect with.
Yeah.
Right? So in the waiting, you're remolding yourself, you're figuring out ways to change the narrative, you're saying no to roles that only will remind you of this, and you want to break out of that. So you're saying no to money in your face, but then no, you don't want to do it. So it's a testament to integrity and sticking to the script that the script that you want to follow for your life. And for me, making music is 10 times harder than any artist that's just an artist, because I have to break this narrative, right? Then when you make music, then the next role you have to do, you have to break that narrative. So it's a consistent level of elite accuracy that has to happen to consistently move the needle. And that pressure can be very, very suffocating at times. You know, and that's where having a home, having a business partner, having God comes in, because we've been able to consistently navigate. We've been able to do these things. But it's just knowing that that is where life is going to be for the foreseeable future. It makes you work harder. It makes you appreciate the stillness, because now, as we are back on TV.
Yes, we can't talk about it yet.
We can't talk about exactly what show, but we are back on TV, and we just actually did the deal today.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, it's wow. The waiting was worth it, because I'm better, I'm sharper, I'm more appreciative. I've gotten, and then ultimately, if I was doing all of those things the way I was supposed to be doing it, in my mind, oh my God, I gotta be lit, I wouldn't have had time to build out our family structure. How can I be who we are if I'm always away? I needed to sit down a little bit to learn my daughter, learn my woman, learn my son, build the foundation, and now we can all grow. This was the faith. This 4 or 5 years was this part of life that had to be grounded. And now we can hit play again.
We can hit play again, my goodness. And now we can officially say that the waiting, we made it through the waiting, and we came out sharper, stronger and better, like new wine. You know what I mean? In the crushing, in the crushing, we came out stronger and better.
My goodness. We had 2 babies in this waiting, you know what I mean? And we had COVID, we had a whole pandemic in this waiting, like a lot happened and we survived it and got stronger and made a lot more money.
Yes, we did.
Thank God. And we're able to do things like this at our leisure. And I love that so much.
Well, thank you very much.